Well, let's take a look at the Eighth Commandment. It's printed right there in your bulletin. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, betray him, slander him, or hurt his reputation, but defend him, speak well of him, and explain everything in the kindest way. Telling the truth is one of the pillars of our society. It's a basis for our lives together, whether it's a marriage, a congregation, or a workplace. We need to be able to trust our parents, our doctors, our law enforcement officers, our pastors, our teachers, and our government. When you break that trust and introduce lies into it, and our lives together lose their togetherness. Lies split marriages. Lies break up congregations. Lies divide communities. Lies end friendships. Thus, the Lord demands we don't give false testimony against our neighbor. Don't tell lies about him, betray, slander him, or hurt his reputation, so that he can believe you and trust you. He, meaning your neighbor, not God. Because God does not believe in you or trust you. And that's good news, and here's why. Listen to Matthew chapter 26. Now the chief priests and the whole council were seeking false testimony against Jesus, that they might put him to death. But they found none, though many false witnesses came forward. At last, two came forward and said, "This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and rebuild it in 3 days." At the time of Jesus' arrest, the authorities maintain an appearance of what we would call today due process. They want to hear witnesses in reference to the charges brought before Jesus. You've noticed from our text, though, they deliberately seek what? False testimony against Jesus, that they might put him to death. And that's not really a court of justice, where justice is sought. What is sought in Jesus' case is his death at any cost, including breaking God's commandment, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And break the commandment they do in that council court. False witness after false witness comes forward, and lie after lie is spewed against completely innocent Jesus. Well, setting aside the truthfulness of those charges, actually none of the charges are worth the death penalty, though there was many false witnesses, as the text states, until the last two come forward and quoted Jesus verbatim. This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to rebuild it in 3 days. Notice the irony, if you will. Jesus is betrayed by someone who knows him enough to quote him. That's the kinds of lies that hurt us the most, from someone who is close to us. who knows enough about us. And that's, by the way, are the kinds of lies that our sinful nature finds the most appealing. We kind of dismiss the outlandish lies that no one can believe in. But if you throw in just enough of true detail to make lies sound more believable, and who knows more about you than those who are close to you, and you mix it in with some tantalizing speculations and juicy gossip, and people eat those things up. But we're not just talking about gossip in Jesus' case. And what's at stake for Jesus is not just the damage of his reputation. As you figured out, those lies are designed to kill him. By contrast, our lies are less than lethal. Even when they do harm, we tend to play them down. Oh, I was just talking. I'm sorry that you heard it the wrong way. I didn't mean it like that. Sorry that you feel hurt. I didn't mean to harm you, Jesus. Yes, even Jesus, because when you and I lie, when we give false testimony, we actually give false testimony about Christ. Why should anyone trust anything we say? And our false witness won't kill Christ, but it might kill any desire to know him in those who have been hurt by our lies. That's why it only makes sense when you hear, you may believe in God, but God does not believe in you. Wait a minute, it should be the other way around. You may not believe in God, but God believes in you. You might have heard this famous quote, except it's got it all backwards. Because God does not believe in you. God does not trust you. But that's good news. You see, Jesus never says, oh, I can trust this guy, or deep down, she has a good heart. Nope, quite the opposite. Let me tell you what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 15, 19. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, slander. Now, false witness and slander are our focus tonight. But along with the other sins, they highlight the fact that our hearts are full of deceit. And one of its deceptions is the untruth that God believes in you. That lie is what brought Jesus into the high court of the chief, religiously good people. They couldn't believe it. How can Jesus dare not to believe in our goodness and righteousness? How can he not trust our thoughts and our actions? Thus, instead of facing the reality that nothing good was to be found in their hearts and seeking righteousness in Christ alone, see those good, righteous folks beat their breasts and tear their robes in a righteous indignation over the one who challenged their lies. But despite the fact that Jesus finds nothing in his accusers worthy of trust, he continues on his journey to the cross to die for their sin. Despite the fact that Jesus finds nothing in your heart or in my heart worthy of trust, nothing that makes him want to believe in you or believe in me, for he knows your heart, he knows my heart, he nevertheless pledges his heart to you. The chief priests and the whole council openly and unashamedly break the "you shall not give false testimony" commandment. And even more than that, you have their evil thoughts and slander, even murder. And all these come out of their heart, even though outwardly they maintain the appearance of a just and righteous and good trial conducted by righteous judges. But notice how Jesus submits to their injustice. And more than that, that's because Christ's love for the sinner comes before judgment. Even before he peered into your heart to see nothing there but evil, he said, "I love you." Jesus does not inspect the hearts of humanity to find a select few that deserve his love. He simply loves you without any discrimination, loves lavishly. He loves toddlers and terrorists. He loves the chief priests, the Sanhedrin court, and he loves the justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. He loves the Jews and the Gentiles and the Muslims. He loves those who hate him, ignore him, or worship him, because he died for the sins of all of them. Joseph Jugashvili entered a seminary in Georgia when he was 16. A year later, he dropped out of his studies for the holy ministry because he became an atheist. Years later, he became known to the world as Joseph Stalin. And you noted, "I trust no one, not even myself." As an atheist, he was correct. There's no one you can trust, not even, and especially not even yourself. But as a believer in God, you know the one that you can trust. Not just when the times are good, not when your life is going great, but especially in the times when your life is falling apart. Because he is the kind of God who will sit with you as you weep, hold you as you scream in anger, and slowly heal you in the hospital of his cross. You want to see what's in the heart of God? A man who took a bullet for you, a man who endured hell for you, a man who had everything but gave it all up in exchange for you. That man, Jesus, is all God, and all God is him. So when you want to know what God thinks of you, whether he will stick by you, the answer is suspended on the cross. No, God does not believe in you, but he loves you. Amen.